Alright, so this is how to beat Cyber Dragon Infinity. Cyber Dragon Infinity is not too difficult to beat, but it could be a little tough for those who might have trouble beating Cyber Dragon Infinity. There's a couple ways of beating it. I mean, it depends on your deck, what you're running. But something as simple as like playing, like, you know, 2 dark holes back to back. You play one, it gets negated. You play your second one. There you go. You defeat a Cyber Dragon Infinity or a Dark Hole Regeki. You can do a Book of Moon, and they negate it. You can Regeki. You get the idea. You can even go for a Book of Moon. They'll try to negate it. You can use Forbidden Chalice, negate the effect of Cyber Dragon Infinity, and cause it to go face down. So that whole power boost, that 400 boost, doesn't even matter. You put on face down, and with Cyber Dragon Infinity face down, has 600 defense. Should be easy, relatively easy for you to run that over. You use other cards to negate effects, like, you know, Breakthrough Skill and Fate Veiler and things of that nature. You could even use Axe of Fool as a card I liked personally. It has the ability, you equip it to any monster in the field, so you could equip it to Cyber Dragon Infinity. If your opponent negates it, well, you just force them to activate their effect, and now you can play whatever you want to play, run their monster, even summon a monster and give your second Axe of Fool to that monster and run Cyber Dragon Infinity over and defeat it by battle. Of course, you could beat him by battle. It's not like he can't be defeated by battle. It depends how strong he is. A couple other things you could, do. Axe of Fool is pretty good because not only, more likely they'll negate. Well, the funny thing is, if they don't negate Axe of Fool, you're going to negate their effect anyway. That's the thing. So it's damn if they do, damn if they don't. So it's a double-edged sword, which I like, because it's a card that I play. If they don't negate it, the effect will be negated. You get the same results with Forbidden Chalice. Don't get me wrong. You could just play Forbidden Chalice, and if they negate it, well, they just waste their effect, and you can do whatever you want. But if they don't negate it, you end up negating their Cyber Dragon Infinity's effect anyway. But he'll get a boost. Won't be that big of a deal. The boost will only make him essentially 2,500, because he will lose the extra 200 for each material that's attached to the effect until the end of the turn. But you still have to contend with a 2,500. So if you can't take down 2,500, that might not be the best choice. But either would Axe of Fool, because you'll just essentially make it a 3,100, which will be more problematic, right? So it just depends on your situation. But I like Axe of Fool because it's a pretty decent card, mainly because it's not just something I would use solely against like Axe of Fool or Utopia or something like that, even Quasar or anything of that nature. I will also use it to power up a monster, to take down certain monsters that could be problematic, that'd be hard to beat. So that's what makes this card relatively useful. I go equip this to a monster, give 1,000 boosts, and be able to take down something like even Fort Towers. So to each their own. But it's a card that I like, and it's common, so it's relatively easy to get. Most of y'all probably already have it. You get the idea. Other stuff, like if you're playing Grados, again, just playing something as simple as Dark Hole, then taking their Cyber Dragon Infinity, which is what I prefer, instead of trying to take instead of using a Grado to attack, take some damage, try to steal their Infinity, and then they'll just negate it, and then you just Dark Hole in phase 2, right, for example. Not the best play. The best play would be go for the Dark Hole, they'll negate it, then you can just use a Grado to steal the Infinity and get yourself a nice little free monster. And definitely it's a nice free powerhouse that you can use and take advantage and have control of the game. So it's definitely something I like to do. And if you're a Grado player, then you automatically have some way of taking down the mighty Infinity. Another potential play would be to use the Grado Continuous Spell card along with Grado Alligator. Infinity can only negate one of the two cards, so it depends which one they want to negate. But either way, you'll win out, because the Continuous Spell card will end up popping Infinity if your opponent doesn't negate the Continuous Spell card, which is Grado Impact. If they don't negate Grado Impact, Cyber Dragon Infinity will get destroyed. For those who might not know what Grado Impact looks like, that's what Grado Impacts look like. So if this is already on the field, and then you combo it with Grado Alligator, because whenever Grado Alligator is destroyed by a spell card, it activates the ability to be able to take control of one of your opponent's monster and equip itself to it. And as long as it's equipped, you got control, of course. When the equipped Grado is destroyed, the monster equipped to is also destroyed. There is the potential that even if the Grado Alligator gets destroyed while you have Infinity, for example, its effect will trigger to destroy Infinity. Should potentially be able to negate that part of the Grado's effect and keep Infinity on the field indefinitely, right? Which makes it worth stealing. Something as simple as tributing it for a Kaiju or a Lava Golem, Volcanic Queen, or a Santa Claus, things of that nature would be useful. So if you run Kaijus, you pretty much have a way of getting rid of this bad boy just by tributing him. Cyber Dragon, the main thing is use Cyber Dragon along with Chimera Fortress and extra deck, and that's a way you can take Infinity down and bring out a nice little free 2000 attacker. It's pretty simple and generic, especially if you run a dragon deck, Cyber Dragon deck. You automatically, as long as you have that in your extra deck, and of course you have Cyber Dragons in your Cyber Dragon deck, you automatically have an out to Infinity. Plus you're probably already playing Infinity, since Cyber Dragon Infinity is obviously a Cyber Dragon monster. Fossil Diana, pretty generic. Most people main it, most people side it. It depends on their deck, of course. And it's not that different from Vanny's Emptiness. It prevents special summoning, so your opponent can't make Infinity, your opponent can't hurt you, right? Same goes with playing Vanny's Emptiness. Same process prevents Cyber Dragon Infinity from being summoned. You'll get the same results if you use Evil Sworn Ophion, since he won't allow your opponent to special summon monsters at level 5 or higher. It'll make it hard to get two level 5s on the field, make Infinity, because most typically you special summon level 5s than you would normal summon them. Steel Swarm Roach for any monsters like Cyber Dragon, for example, that special summon that are inherent, level 5 or higher. You can use Steel Swarm Roach, detach and destroy and negate the summoning and destroy the monster. And this effect can be used during either player's turn, so that makes it really useful. It's kind of like having a Black Horn of Heaven. Then of course you got Solemn Notice, Great Horn of Heaven, and Black Horn of Heaven. These three cards can be used on inherent summons like Cyber Dragon, for example. So right there, you got 3 counter traps that can be used, or you can just let your opponent make Cyber Dragon Infinity and then just use any one of these counter traps, as well as a warning to stop Cyber Dragon Infinity's, to negate summoning. The bottom half is useful for when Cyber Dragon Infinity uses this effect, not really not to prevent his summoning, but to use it against his effect, and it's a counter, so that's awesome. It'd be hard for your opponent to chain something to prevent their Infinity from being negated and destroyed, like using a lance or a Book of Moon or something. And Stardust, relative to these for the same purposes. Divine Wrath, once your opponent plays Infinity's effect to negate and destroy a card, since it has the effect to destroy a card when negating, you can use Stardust to negate and destroy Cyber Dragon Infinity's effect. You can also use a Cyber Dragon Infinity on a Cyber Dragon Infinity. So if your opponent has Cyber Dragon Infinity, you manage to summon your Cyber Dragon Infinity. Then you play something like Book of Moon, and then they try to negate it, you know, or Regeki or something of that nature. You could just use Infinity's effect and negate your opponent's Infinity and take them down. You can use other things similar to that Stardust Assault mode. Any monster that can negate a monster effect can be used against Infinity, of course. And you know, the list goes on depending on what you're playing, what you're using. But you get the basic idea. Negating his effect, negating his summoning, even just forcing him to activate his effect so he gets weaker, you know, is important. So that way you could just easily run him over with a monster that you boost, or just, you know, you exceed summon to something stronger. There's of course a lot of rank 4s, 3s that you can use to take down Cyber Dragon Infinity. So it's all about just how you balance out your deck to make sure you have the ability to play more than one card. Because essentially to take down Infinity, you have to have 2 cards. So you gotta, since I do a lot of combo plays, a lot of my decks have it where I play more than 1 card per turn. It makes it where Cyber Dragon Infinity is not as effective. But a deck where you're like only doing one effect per turn, or playing 1 card per turn, then yeah, Infinity will hurt you because you're only playing 1 card per turn. You know what I mean? So if you're playing a all monster deck, you know, anytime you summon a monster, activate the effect to negate it, you know what I mean? And since that's the only summon you have that turn, you know, you're kinda at a disadvantage. So that's some of the strengths and weaknesses of Infinity, and that's the end of the video.